Okay, hello again. In this video, we're looking at clause 5.3 of ISO 9001. This is applicable to all of the ISO management system standards which adhere to the Annex SL hierarchy. So there would be corresponding clauses in ISO 27001, 14001, 45001, and so on. Yeah, organization roles, responsibilities, and authorities. How does this differ to what people would already have in place is a question I often ask, because we're very familiar with having documented job descriptions. They would form parts of contracts. They would be used for recruitment initiatives and so on. And oftentimes it's done very well. Jobs are really well described with good role definitions. I think when it comes to documenting the responsibilities and the authorities associated with roles, there's usually a little bit of a gap to be bridged. So the criteria here will kind of help us hone in on where the gaps are. Okay. So first of all, we've got to take the first line of the criteria. Top management shall ensure that the responsibilities and authorities for relevant roles are assigned, communicated, and understood within the organization. So let's put the assigned, communicated, and understood bit aside, and let's make sure that the responsibilities and authorities, first of all, are determined. So the second part of the criteria addresses that aspect. Top management shall assign the responsibility and authority for ensuring that the quality management system conforms to the requirements of this international standard, and by extension, all of the other management system standards. So while there's no longer a requirement for a quality manager or information security manager as such, I guess when I look at the guidance and the discussions on FOR and so on, and in particular the direct guidance coming from ISO themselves, really what they're looking for here is, instead of assigning the responsibility for quality or information security or health and safety with any one person, what they're looking for is for everyone who's in a leadership role to have responsibilities and authorities for these different aspects, for compliance, for health and safety, for information security, for quality management over their area of work. So they would be responsible at a supervisory level for managing their teams, their departments, their functions with regard to policies and controls that are in place within the management system. So assigning, number one, defining the responsibility is one thing, and making sure that it's documented in the role definition for each of the roles that the authority or the responsibility applies to. So our customers will be familiar with what we use is a thing called the role definitions register. That is a document that it becomes primary because it carries a lot of information to support our management system. But the role definitions register would be looking for responsibilities and authorities and accountabilities where they lie. So ensuring that the quality management system it conforms to the requirements. Some companies we work with, they have maintained the role for a quality manager. That's always a good consideration, because there is a further clause toward the end for maintaining the management system at point E. So ensuring that the integrity of the quality management system is maintained when changes to the quality management system are planned and implemented. So they would fall typically on one person's lap. And point B, ensuring that the processes are delivering their intended outputs. The immediate consideration there is maybe this is a supervisory responsibility, and there's an obvious connection there to anybody in a supervisory role having an elevated responsibility towards making sure that processes and activities are delivering expected outcomes. But I guess, the machine operator has to take responsibility and ownership, and may have authorities towards the operation of that machine, because of the fact that they might be the only person in a position to make decisions as things arise. Point C, reporting on the performance of the quality management system and on opportunities for improvement. Stop there for a moment. So the performance of the system, that's straightforward enough. Typically, the performance of the system is managed and evaluated through its internal audit program. But obviously, non-conformities and other opportunities arise through the day-to-day operation of any system. So that has to be kept in mind. Where it stipulates in particular to top management, once again, there's probably something that's approaching a quality manager role there. But certainly, it could easily be envisaged that if you've got 5 department heads, that each of them would carry responsibility towards this particular aspect. Point D, ensuring the promotion of customer focus throughout the organization. So this is kind of drawing through, customer focus when we looked at it in clause 5.2, clause 5.1.2. And that kind of derives from consideration of needs and expectations out of clause 4.2. So you can see now that there's a bit of a life cycle or a trend towards customer focus now appearing in clause 5.3, where, like following on from clause 5.2, where we've established policies to support customer focus and our leadership commitment towards customer focus. Now that commitment is being extended to wherever it may lay within an organization. So top management has established their commitment and established policies documenting their commitment towards customer focus. Now, by extension, where you have a sales manager and production manager and a dispatch manager and so on, now where customer focus is applicable or is integral to a department or a function of a business, we have to make sure that the leadership commitment to customer focus extends through policies and controls and reporting mechanisms and so on in each department, and responsibilities for managing that area of customer focus would lay with supervisory roles and individuals where necessary. So the clause itself is straightforward enough. Subsequent videos will look at the role definitions register in detail on how we actually go about documenting these roles and the relevant responsibilities. But I guess the starting point is, number one, determine what roles are required. And then when you look at the responsibilities are actually going to be drawn from, any clause of the standard where there's an obvious requirement that something needs to be managed. Well, where it needs to be managed by somebody, well, that something needs to be defined, and it needs then to be documented in the role definition for the person it needs to be assigned to. So there's a logic to it. When we look at the role definitions register in one of the next video clips, we'll see the beginning of a role being documented. And I think, that combined with this will create a greater picture for how you need to respond to this clause. That's enough for now, I think. Another step towards certification. Thank you.